Hi, this is Soulmate Talk. I am your host, Geozuwa, and we bring you this show to give you as much information as possible for you to be in that beautiful, healthy, loving relationship. Tonight's topic is dating and relationships for the spiritually awake, and we'll define that in a moment. First, I want to introduce my guest co-host, Elena Haros. How do you say it?
Haros.
Is that how you say it?
I'll just say Haros.
Haros, okay.
Yeah.
Tell people what you do.
I'm a teacher, an intuitive guide. I do some healing work, and I just recently started channeling. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's exciting.
And tonight's special guest, medium, author, TV host, Edward Nunzio.
And hello to both of you.
Thank you very much for being here. If you want to tell the audience a little bit about what you do.
I communicate with the other side,
Awesome.
with our loved ones that have crossed over,
Beautiful.
who were originally were soulmates.
Well, soulmates, yes. I think you had mentioned before the show that you thought in my last episode I didn't say that soulmates were reunited on the other side, but absolutely they are. And on one level, because time doesn't really exist, they're never actually apart. In the physical reality, sometimes it feels like they're apart because physically they are apart. But on the other side, they're there together through eternity.
My experience with the word soulmate and someone that comes to me, like a woman may come to me and say, am I really going to see, he was the love of my life? And he's telling me they're going to have another dance. They danced on whatever occasion it was. And so you're correct that it never dies. Soul never dies.
Correct. Absolutely. So the spiritually awake, when we refer to the spiritually awake, we're referring to psychics, mediums, people that are waking up and realizing that reality is not what they've been taught their whole life, that people that awaken to their true, infinite, eternal selves, that have gifts. I think you mentioned like empaths and what are some of the other definitions we were talking before the?
Mediums, empaths, intuitive guides, anyone who's spiritually awake.
Okay.
Yeah, or I would think at the beginning step, it just starts with looking inward, and then the more that they continue to heal themselves, it continues to be a smaller base of people. that they
Right.
can
Oh,
relate
well,
to.
if you're saying for the dating
Yeah.
pool, yes, when people start to wake up and realize who they are and they develop that beautiful self-love, then absolutely that dating pool becomes much smaller.
Yeah.
It's very
And
true.
yeah, and that's one of the things I want to talk about on the show today is that dating pool and what can the spiritually awake do. And as a psychic medium, is there any advice that you can give to those that are awakening?
First, they have to love themselves.
Absolutely.
And that takes a period of time. Then they're out there looking and searching for what they believe is going to be their soulmate. But it doesn't have to be their soulmate in this lifetime. It could be from a past lifetime.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
So that's where the hard part comes in, as being either a medium, psychic, intuit. We all look for certain things in certain people. And the people today are searching the same way everybody else is, but they're not understanding when they see pain in that individual. They think they could fix them, and that's impossible.
Yeah, and see that's another thing, and that's one of the reasons that I started this show is because a lot of people, they look to get into a relationship for the other person to fix them, for the other person. And as a healer, a lot of times the people that were most attracted to me are those that really needed the help and the assistance and the healing. So one of the messages is from this show is always work on you before you even look to be in that relationship. Before you even look to find your soulmate, you should always work on you. If you have baggage, now of course sometimes it's difficult to get rid of some of the baggage, but at least bring yourself to be able to deal with that baggage in the most positive manner so it's not affecting your future relationships. Heal from the trauma. And the world is a heavy world. We've all experienced the pain of this world. It's a heavy, dense world. And many of us have experienced serious trauma. And you should definitely face that trauma, heal from that trauma before you get into that next relationship. Because a lot of times, especially if you have relationship trauma, then they bring it into the next relationship and they're attracting, even if the guy or the woman seemed great in the beginning, it's actually they're on that same vibration to bring that same trauma. So always work on you, definitely with forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of our most powerful healing tools. And then you develop that self-love. So now you said, of course, when individuals come to you and they ask you, well, is this the right one? You know, I'm madly in love, and I liked what you said earlier about you don't tell them that.
Right. No, if I'm going to tell them this is the right one, they're going to not do the work they need to do.
Right.
They're going to jump into a situation, just may not be the right one. If I think that person is in danger and they're with the wrong person, then I'll tell them. That'll tell them it's not really, just move away quickly.
Right.
You know, but people happen to look for the pain that they're in.
Yeah.
So that's healing, and as two healers, you know that's what they're both trying to do. I think that soulmate is going to heal that inner pain.
Yeah.
Right, and that's another thing to always work on you, because you may find the right person, except if you're not at that level and you still have the trauma, you still have certain issues, whatever they may be, even if that person, because every person has the potential. Every relationship has that potential. But even if the person is the right person, if you get involved when you haven't healed yourself, it's not the right time. And then it's just not going to work out in most cases.
Do you find that many young women look for their father in a new relationship? They're looking for the father to heal the pain of whatever went on between the child and the father, and they think that person creating the pain, that's my soulmate, that's the love of my life.
Well, yeah, unfortunately that is, and that's what they say. You know, if you're speaking psychologically, and of course on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, that happens a lot as well. And I really don't like the expression, like, you know, the daddy issues and stuff like that. Is it real? Yes. And I always say nothing is real and everything is real. It's your choice. And if you know that you've had trauma from your father, or you have those issues, or you have abandonment issues and anything like that, heal that first. Be comfortable with yourself. Bring yourself to be happy with you. Find that happiness within yourself. It's so much easier than to be happy with someone else vibrating on a higher level. But yes, that is the case a lot of times.
I think the self-reflection portion gets confusing for people. Sometimes it's so dense in the mindset of being a victim that it's like, oh, you know, this person's so nice. Why don't they just find a nice guy? They're such a nice girl, or vice versa, where it's really, really important to take a step back and say, is there a pattern here? What are all the characteristics of the people that I dated? Who am I in every relationship, and who do I want to be? And when you make a commitment to become your own soulmate, then you really increase the chances of making that union in this lifetime, I believe.
Well said.
Thanks.
How much do you love you?
I really love me a lot.
I
use
think
the
I love
formula for
myself
that.
more than you love yourself. What do you
All
think?
right, we're going to have to figure
I
that
think
out.
we can have an argument here. I think you both love yourselves, which is fine.
That's great, right?
Oh, I just thought I'd mention I am a, last episode we did was astrology for relationships. I am a Libra with a Libra rising and a Capricorn moon. Elena, you are a Capricorn with a Libra moon.
Yes, I am.
And you are I'm
Yeah.
surrounded by two Capricorns. My moon is in Capricorn. And for those astrologers out there, watch the last episode and then get back to me.
So 2 goats and a scale.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm bringing balance.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that Capricorns are crazy. I will not say that. Even if they say it, I will not say it.
Grounded.
And thank you so much for both of you being here.
We thank you. You said something that was interesting earlier. You said for a person doing the work that we do, psychic, medium, healer, that people fall in love. They think they fall in
Yes.
love with the person doing the work.
Yes.
And then after a while, we have to explain to them, you're not in love with the physical You're healing, so you're in love with yourself, because we become that mirror reflection.
Right, right. I like to think that they do fall in love with the physical as well.
Okay.
I like to think that.
Well, then that's your reality.
Thank you very much.
That's why he's a Libra.
Thank you, thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's words for that too, like with psychologists or psychiatrists, when people go and they're doing that work and they fall in love with their therapist because there's that transference. And a lot of times when a person comes to a healer and they're experiencing that pure love from God, from the source of creation, that they're filling up their heart, all their energy centers, every part of them is experiencing that pure love. Yes, there's that that possibility that the person falls in love with that energy and they anchor it to the healer. So it does happen.
It does, and it is part of their healing process.
Yeah.
To know that they can love another human being, but don't love me, because I'm doing my work. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And you're not supposed to be falling in love with me or with any of us. And they kind of mix that emotion.
Yeah.
And it creates a
And-
problem for yourself.
Yes, it
as well as
does.
them.
Yes, it does. And that's why I block as much as I possibly can. And I know you've mentioned before the show that even like when you're associating with a lot of your friends, like you'll block your abilities
Right.
when you're hanging out with the mechanical world types. And for me, whenever I am around women, I do block their intentions as much as I possibly can. Some of them get through, though.
I'm sure they do.
They
Joe.
do. I mean, I do my best. I do my best.
You're your father.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
There's also a good point to make that in the beginning, perhaps before someone becomes spiritually awake, a lot of times these relationships that don't really work out bring them on their path.
Yeah.
And I think more often than not, the archetype of a healer will try to fix people before they realize that they're here for that reason. So they'll find themselves in situations where they're trying to fix others, but it's really a part of themselves, right? Because we're all a mirror of one another. And then until they get onto that path. So that's an important thing to realize, because then that's still the pattern of I'm trying to heal myself through another, still not getting to that soulmate connection because you haven't really yet figured out that it's you that you're trying to heal. That makes sense.
We're only the tool for them to get to where they need to be.
Right.
And some people just can't get there, and it's really
Yeah. Some people just can't get there. And that hurts. It hurts. An empath, you feel that pain for the person that just sometimes can't get out of their own way. They can't see that life can be so beautiful. And one of the first questions I ask whenever I do a workshop or I have clients is, have you suffered enough? Is there anyone here who hasn't suffered enough? Only one time in like the last 15 years, I got one person that said they haven't suffered enough. They needed to suffer some more. Okay. But everyone has suffered enough. There's no reason to suffer anymore. I don't care if you're 15, 25, 85 years old. You've already experienced the heaviness, the density, the pain and suffering of this world. At any point, you have that spark. You don't have to suffer with anything anymore. And it starts with the forgiveness. It starts with healing from trauma, from the cycles of dysfunction, and then developing that self-love. So.
We agree? We agree.
Oh, good.
I agree.
We agree.
Awesome.
With any of you, with your experiences with some of your clients or people that come to see you, do they ever open up immediately, or it takes you like a screwdriver to uncap them, to open up?
Yeah, usually pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There's thankfully usually a trust factor. Even like if I'm standing online somewhere and people just say, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but
Yeah.
like, it's okay. I'm here to listen with, love,
Well-
light, and protection.
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
We're here
Yeah.
to do a job.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We're here to enjoy ourselves and know what
And-
life is about, but we're here to do a job.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I like to bring across and instill in my students is that regardless of how evolved you become and how much healing work you're doing, and even when you move on and you're teaching many, you can still take time and have fun. You can enjoy the process. It doesn't have to be so serious. Enjoy the process. Have fun healing others. Have fun making the world a better place. And that's another thing. If you just work on yourself, you're actually making the world a better place. When you're raising your frequencies and vibrations, you're raising the frequencies and vibrations of the entire world and every reality.
I agree, and I love what you say about just even sending pure love and imagining others
Yeah,
being
just
healed.
just
And
your
we can all-
intentions,
we can all
absolutely.
do that now.
Well, if you're sending a person that's being ugly to you, you're sending them back love. They have
Of
to
course.
embrace the love, and sooner or later they have to crack and say, "All right,
Yeah.
I'm doing this wrong."
Yeah.
I told you, was telling you both a story earlier about a young lady that came to me that had this, what she believed was her soulmate, and she went to see someone, and the person said they could bring him back into her life for $5,000.
Oh boy.
I would like your audience to know, be very aware
Please be very
of
aware.
the takers, because they're out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are some that claim to be teachers and claim to be awake and claim to have good intentions, and they don't, and they're not. Just like Edward just said about the takers. If you go to someone for a healing, if you go to someone for anything who's supposed to be a teacher or a healer or even a psychic, and then they say, well, if you give me $10,000, then we can do this and we can take care of that. If someone tells you, and I've seen this, and it really, it's upsetting. It's sad that, you know, you have someone walking and a psychic will say, okay, I see something, you have a problem, I see cancer. Well, I just got checked out, there's nothing wrong with me. No, I can see the cancer in you, so on and so forth. Come here, let me work on you. Okay, for this much money, I can get rid of it and you'll never have it. That's sad.
Yes.
So please get a second opinion, and if someone does that, run from them. And I like to teach my students and the people that I work with that if you do see something, you don't have to tell them, just automatically send them that healing, send them that strength, courage, love and light, happiness, joy, awareness. And one of the other things I like to instill is always give the intentions for everyone, including yourself, that if there's any more lessons for that person to learn in this life, for them to learn it in the easiest, quickest, most positive, most beneficial manner for their highest good, their ultimate happiness. And you can learn, if there's any more lessons for you to learn in this life, you can learn it from the positive. You've already learned from the negative. Let that go. You can learn from the positive. So,
Sometimes walking on pebbles heals the person quicker than walking on soft earth, because they got to get out that whatever's in still.
Yeah.
They have to get rid of it. Otherwise, they're going to be angry for years and years. And how are they going to meet their proper soulmate?
now, lately there's other definitions, and I know there's infinite levels of soulmates. When I refer to a soulmate, I'm referring to that one that you're together throughout eternity. Is that your definition of soulmate?
I believe that the soul, and your soul and yours and all of ours, when we unite, when we meet each other, then that is the soul and the soulmate of love.
Okay.
And it's not in every lifetime are we compatible with that soulmate, because that person and that person need to learn from those paths that they're taking to come together in the next lifetime.
Okay.
But that's my belief anyway.
Well, I know that there's infinite realities, infinite timelines, infinite dimensions. You're infinite. Everything is infinite. And even if, because you can learn 1,000 lifetimes in 5 minutes, because time doesn't really exist. And I'm saying now in this time, because we're in an accelerated time of ascension, and reality shifting moment to moment. Your ability to manifest is now accelerated, and it's happening like this. You have a thought, and it's happening, and it's happening quicker and more powerfully. So, of course, be careful of what you wish for. Be careful of what you're focusing your mind on. Again, do not intend to be with a specific person. Will you get that person? Yes, but it doesn't mean that that person is the right person for you. And if you do that, you're interfering not only with that person's path, you're interfering with your own path and all the paths of everyone around. So, so you believe that you do all the work so that you can meet in the next lifetime. I would like to take that a little bit further and say, do all the work in this lifetime so it can happen in this lifetime.
Is it always possible in every lifetime to have a relationship with your soulmate?
Absolutely. If you truly do the work, get out of your own way, because there are times, and I know this from looking outside of the matrix, there are times when your soulmate isn't even born in this physical reality, and you're doing all the work, you're waking up, and you want to be with your soulmate, not just on the energetic, not just on the spiritual realm, but in the physical reality. It will shift. Reality, the physical reality, you will shift into the reality where your soulmate was born, is there, and is ready for you to be together. There are no limitations.
So it can happen at any moment.
Yes, it can. As long as you're truly working on you, and you're raising your frequency and vibrations, you're going to attract. And now the other thing is, I always say that you don't have to be with your official soulmate to be in a beautiful, healthy, loving relationship. And then, of course, taking it another step further, I also believe that at any moment, any person has the potential, because you've heard of like walk-ins. So
Absolutely.
there's times when you're in a relationship and both parties are vibrating on a higher level, and if the person that you're with is not officially your soulmate, but you have that beautiful relationship, at that point, there are contracts where your soulmate soul is now coming into that person's body as that soul is leaving, and there, even though he or she wasn't your official soulmate, you're now together. And then on another level, now these are a lot of definitions and a lot of possibilities because there's infinite possibilities, but on another level, even if you're not with your official soulmate and you're together and it's a beautiful, healthy, loving relationship and all the ingredients are there, you can call in that soulmate energy. And that soulmate energy, because when you get together, there's another entity that is formed. It's an entity of the relationship, and it's a combination of the two. When you call in that soulmate energy, it's there, and then you've been soulmates for eternity, because everything we do here counts across the board in every direction. I hope I didn't lose your audience. I know that's could be a little out there.
The thing with the walk-in, people may not understand that person, you or any one of us, just don't want to be here any longer, and I call it an angel. The walk-in steps into the body to finish the work, so you don't hurt yourself, so you can continue to elevate. And that's when you start really learning about what love is, because you're separating the anger, and you're bringing in the love, and to me, that is what a walk-in is. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, there's infinite levels and infinite possibilities, but sometimes when a person doesn't want to be here anymore, or when they are supposed to leave at a certain time, because sometimes it's like, all right, they're only coming up to the age of 30 and they're supposed to pass, but instead of passing, then another entity, another spirit will come in and take over that lifetime going forward.
Right.
So that soul has experienced that life up to that point. So now, instead of being reborn and going through the whole process for 30 years, that soul comes in and takes over, has all the memories and all the experiences, and then takes over for the rest of that life. And there's infinite possibilities, there's infinite reasons why it happens, but those were just a couple of them.
You spoke about calling in the soulmate energy. So how does that necessarily work? Is like person A, let's say it's a female,
Both parties have to be in absolute agreement. They have to be on a certain higher level, higher vibrating level. Because, you know, if that's another thing, like where spiritually awake people are dating a mechanical person, which many times is very, very difficult and it's tough to do that. But if they say, okay, well, they're madly in love and they want to call in the soulmate energy, and the other person, the mechanical person, isn't really, oh, okay, yeah, let's just do that. That's not enough. They have to be on a certain level. And I'm sorry if I interrupted the full question.
No, you got
Okay.
it. You pretty much got it anyway. So then how are two people really, so two people have to be on two really high vibrations, not
That would be
necessar-
nice.
Not would be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily soulmates. So they both agree because they still love one another. Hey, wouldn't it be great if we can call in the soulmate energy, and wherever it leads us, and so is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yes.
Because it may lead them apart then to two respective other soulmates?
What do you
Or-
mean? If they call in the soulmate energy?
Yeah.
Well, if they make a commitment, if they really commit and they're truly honest with pure positive intentions, and there's no hidden agenda, there's nothing, they're there, and they call in that energy, and it's that commitment, then they are soulmates, officially, and it's for eternity. But they both have to be on that level. Did I answer that?
Yeah, it could be a little confusing.
Yes.
It can be.
All right, are you saying that that person, if they're soulmates, we're gonna use the word if they're soulmates, will spend the next 10 lifetimes with that person, but they don't have to be husband and wife, they could be brother and sister?
That does happen, but when I'm referring to soulmates, I'm referring to the love on all levels, the intimate, the husband and wife, or if they're the same gender and they happen to both be gay, then yes, then they're together. But what I'm saying, yes, that does happen. Soulmates sometimes are born as family members or as close friends, and that type of soulmate, even though they are the two that are actually one for eternity, and they agree before this lifetime that they come in and they're going to help each other or teach each other or learn from one another in certain specific ways, as that. But what I'm saying now is it's time to let all of that go and to truly reunite with your perfect soulmate. And your perfect soulmate is not here to give you the painful lesson. Not your perfect soulmate. Your perfect soulmate is here to share beautiful, healthy love, pure love, energetic love, earthly love, all of the love that is there. That's my definition.
All right, so what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, is
Let's find out.
All right. We have this flame, and they're burning together, and they're going to dance. And they're going to dance for eternity
Mm-hmm.
without ever scolding each other or burning each other.
Correct. I like that.
All right.
I like that.
So I do believe that when let's say a couple meet in high school and they just look at each other and they know each other and they want to date each other and they date each other and the parents hate the boy or the parents hate the girl or it's racial or whatever it may be, then the parents stop this and then
Mm-hmm.
then one day unfortunately she marries somebody else, he marries somebody else. One of them lose their spouse or both lose their spouse and they come together. But don't you think they had to learn that 30, 40 years of a lesson?
Sometimes, yes, absolutely. But I'm saying now that that's okay. That's how it's been throughout our current history in this reality where we don't have to do that anymore. Let that go. And that's why one of the things that I want with the community I'd like to build
Your idea of the community, I really like that.
Thank you, thank you. Well, the children from the earliest ages, they're growing with that confidence, the strength, the courage. They're growing knowing who they are, knowing that they are infinite, that they are eternal. They're learning coping skills, meditation, self-hypnosis, energy work. They're learning everything from the earliest ages, the right lessons, not the indoctrination of the system. But they're learning those right lessons. So they're going to respect themselves, and they're going to respect all living things. So they're not going to just jump into anything. They're going to learn in a positive way. Yes, there's, stuff happens, but they're going to be able to cope with it in a positive way, and they're more likely to be with their soulmate without the learning from the pain. And why not? We've had enough. How many thousands of years? We've had enough in this history, in these realities. We've had enough pain and suffering. We had enough of the illusion, the density. So now's the time to break all the cycles of dysfunction, break the cycles of abuse, and really, really move to that higher level, to ascend.
I think it's also up to the new parent coming in with these young children, because up until the age of 3, the children see beauty. They only see the angels. They see beauty. They see grandparents that are no longer here, and they're so innocent. And when they pass that age of 3.5, they're believing in the artificial light, meaning people's nonsense.
Right.
And then we're training them not to love,
Hmm.
to be protected.
Yeah.
So,
It's important to really be mindful of the lessons that are taught
So,
through spoken word and not.
And your school, and it should come to fruition for you to help the children from small.
Yes.
Because once the wing is broken, it's very hard. It's very difficult for
And
that child.
And I've seen all of the, I've been around the foster care system for a very long time, for a couple of decades now. And if you see the young adults that are aging out, you would really think that there is absolutely no hope. You would really, just looking at them, they don't know how to do anything. They don't know anything about anything. And it's really sad. So like you said, get them before that broken wing. Yeah.
So build that school.
Oh, I am definitely doing it. I have the foundation. We're working on it.
I've said for a number of years, of course I believe in the Christ consciousness, that we are the new church. Because we're teaching the way love, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Religion is all about love and loving everyone. It doesn't matter your color, you're tall, short, big, fat.
I'd like to go on record.
I take back the word fat, and I'm going to say fluffy.
And I'd like to say that short is the new tall. Short is the new tall, yeah. How tall are you?
5'1", and like 3/4.
3, you have to add,
But it
well, what,
says
then
5'2" on my
if-
driver's license.
yeah,
That's
you
what
have
it
to
is.
round
But
up.
I'm
You have to
wondering
round
that
up.
It's like,
No one says 3/4 or a quarter. You have to round up.
yeah, right? I've been
You
doing
have
it
to.
right all these
Yeah, it's
years.
good.
Okay,
It's
great.
good.
I'm 5'2".
I think everybody's been picked on, whether you're tall, petite, or short, or fluffy, or skinny. Everybody's been picked on in one way or another.
Yeah, and then you unravel and love it.
And my life wasn't easy, seeing dead people, and my friends just would run away. So I would hide it. I wouldn't talk about it.
Right, and it's the same thing that I did, having all those experiences and doing. At first, I thought everyone was doing and seeing what I was seeing and doing, but found out it's not the case. So luckily I kept it to myself, and I didn't share it with anyone. How about you?
I think I didn't realize what was going on until different parts now that I have glimpses of doing lucid dreaming as a child. I was just speaking with my best friend about it the other day, how we used to meet in our dreams at night and continue them.
Awesome.
So, now that I'm doing all this work now, I'm realizing how much of it I had going on throughout my years of childhood. And healing dead bugs, snakes, who does these things? But now it all really makes sense.
It's compassion. For every living creature, it's compassion.
Yeah.
And I didn't buy the rules. I didn't believe that something was dead and it was gone. I just wouldn't. And it just didn't make sense to me for whatever reason. So
I think many of us, I know for myself, I came into this world with this knowledge of astrology, numerology, communicating with our loved ones that have crossed over. I came in with it. You said something very powerful about his great-grandmother. I happen to know exactly the spot his great-grandmother passed away.
Yep.
And that's the exact spot.
And I didn't know that she passed in that spot.
Yeah.
When I told my grandmother Jerry the next day about the experience, that she was calling my name, I was standing in the exact spot where she had passed. I never knew that until I told my grandmother the next day after that experience. But yeah, and it's amazing that he knows where she passed.
Right. If you would have moved one particular closet all the way over to the left, you would have seen her doctor bag. Yeah, with all her instruments. It was.
Yeah, she was a midwife.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's great.
I wanted to share. I haven't officially been manifesting for my soulmate over the last few years. I do talk about it. I definitely want to be with my perfect soulmate. So in the past, though, I did manifest, and I just want to share. I'll give you one example of why you should be specific, not a specific person, but be specific in your intentions and how you're manifesting. So I decided I was going to manifest for my soulmate. And my intention was that I wanted to share pure love with my soulmate. So I go to sleep that night, I come out of my body, I'm in my bedroom, I get called to the living room. So I float through the door into the living room, and there's my soulmate standing there, bright, and she says, "Teach me." I took her by the hand, we flew out the door, through the screen enclosure, out into the universe. We're surrounded by these swirls of colors and energy. We're facing one another. At the same time, we both say, "I love you." And then our souls merge together. I cannot put that description of the feeling into words. It was absolutely amazing. I got exactly what I asked for. I got to share pure love with my soulmate. So now I know when I do officially do this that I'm going to manifest not just for my soulmate, but I'm going to manifest for my perfect soulmate. The right time, which is now, to share not only spiritual love, pure love, but a beautiful, healthy, earthly love, a physical love as well.
Don't you find, that's a beautiful story.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you find today's young people, they're looking at the bulk of the gentleman, and he's looking at her backside or her front side or whatever he's looking at. And instead of looking at within that person, I meant a young woman looking at a bulky guy, meaning with all these.
You mean like with muscles?
With muscles.
I do go to the gym. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing.
Oh, you're welcome. So I have a client that only wants to date these guys with big muscles and tattoos all over the place.
Does she live in Staten Island?
Yes.
Of course. Or Brooklyn. Do Brooklynites go for the big muscles?
I would say that either borough, you would be not hard pressed to find somebody that works out. And
Big
has
muscles
a lot
and
of tattoos.
tattoos, yeah.
But the problem
Yes.
is they like the physical, but they forgot to look within the
Yeah.
individual.
Which we all know is
Right.
the most important.
That's the
part,
most
right?
important. The inside, the
That-
mind, the soul.
Yeah.
That's
And
the point I was getting about
Yeah.
bulk, but I was
Yeah.
using the wrong word.
But then that begs to going back to the pattern,
Yeah.
right? When someone has a type, I want to know more. You know, type could be a pattern that's not necessarily serving them for their highest good, and
What is your type?
someone that matches my same heart.
Ah,
Yeah, my
Okay.
same intentions.
okay. Do you have a
Always
type?
And I really like funny. Like you have to be funny, smart.
I like, what do I like? I like kindness and love.
Kindness, yeah.
I love that.
And my grandchildren. And my children. And my wife.
Oh, perfect.
But,
It's good to like the person you're with.
so it's like having a big cake, these young people today, and I could eat that whole cake, and they worry about the way tomorrow. And, we do that as we get older. We worry about it tomorrow. But the young kids with the dating and the soulmate are eating that big cake, and it's really nothing but sugar.
You know,
bologna.
and it's unfortunate that they do not teach relationships, how to be in relationships. They should absolutely teach that. And of course, it's also the parents' job to teach the children how to be in a relationship, how the boy should be a gentleman, how the girls, respecting themselves and really valuing themselves and having that confidence. It does come from the home. It should come from the home, but unfortunately, you go right into the system, and they don't teach it in school. They do not teach it, and they actually should.
I think the most important thing that parents should, and teachers should teach children is respect. And as
Absolutely.
you have the respect, you learn everything else.
Yes.
I agree.
Kindness, compassion, communication.
Mhm.
I can go on and on with the what?
Like a heightened awareness is a really, really important thing to teach from an early age,
Right.
and
Yeah.
to communicate it well,
Mhm.
because the more Instagram and
And yeah.
the more attached everyone is to technology, the more detached they become from themselves, and that's a problem.
Well, that's what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
And that's another thing. If you look at TV shows and movies, the way that they portray love is absolutely ridiculous and insane. They're using the word and the relationships that are so superficial, it has nothing to do with love. And they're just saying, I love you right away, and there's nothing there, and then they're on to the next person, even though they're saying they love each other. And these are children's shows that children are watching, and then they're thinking this is how it's supposed to be. That's going into their programming. So they don't know. They're always looking for more, for better.
Yeah, on that particular program, the daddy's in that room with that one, and the daddy's in that room with that one, the mother's in that room with that one, and that's what we're teaching our children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're not teaching them self-respect.
right.
And then so much is learned from the unspoken word, right?
Mhm.
So the child is mirroring what goes on in the house, and the parents could have the best of intentions to teach their children all the right things, but if they don't have a really loving, respectful, mutual relationship, the child will pick up on that as well.
And,
so the duty goes even further.
Of course
to
it does.
self-care.
And that's another thing where I always say where two people are together and they have a child and they're not happy with with one another, and but they're staying together for the child. I think that's a disservice, and that's can do more damage by staying together, even if they don't fight, even if there's no argument, but there's no affection. The child picks up on all of the energy, but picks up on no affection, and that could damage a child into their adulthood for their entire life, unless of course they meet one of us and they get out of their own way and they heal from that. But yeah, just that alone can damage a child. Yeah. So let's talk about the spiritually awake. What advice can we give? And by the way, I need it as well. What advice can we give to those that are waking up or that are more awake than others? Because the dating pool is much smaller. What advice can we give? What would you like to give to the spiritually awake?
Okay, mine is really specific. I think it's very beneficial to have plans sometimes, being a Capricorn. So
Capricorns plan.
we do.
And I think because I have a moon, I'm a planner as well, but I just go with the flow. But go ahead, planner.
Yeah. So, in this review, when we're talking about patterns and working on getting out of our own way, I find that it's really helpful to, if you looked at the past couple of relationships that you had and what that person gave you in that relationship, what you enjoyed from them in that relationship, and how you felt the void when they left, almost feeling holes inside of you, which anyone who's ever suffered from a broken heart can relate to. If you use that as a prescription for yourself, so you have the holes in that relationship because someone else was filling them, now it is your responsibility to go back and with so much love, fill those holes yourself. Go in, date yourself. Take 30 days to go through this entire journey where you mindfully and lovingly love yourself more powerfully than you could have ever imagined any of your past lovers, future lovers ever loving you. And that will be an amazing formula to get you to where you need to be.
I love it.
Thank you.
So now what advice would you give to the spiritually awake that, because a lot of times they'll settle, people do settle for the mechanical person. So we'll come back to you. And I
Sure.
love what you said. I love it. Absolutely love it. And it has to be the full 30 days?
No.
Of course
no, there
not.
are no rules.
Of course
There are
there's no rules. Thank
But
you.
if someone out there feels comfortable in rules, do 30 days.
Or you
10
could do
days,
60
5 days,
or
60
15,
or
whatever you
Yeah,
need, right?
Exactly.
What advice would you give? Because again, the dating pool is smaller. And sometimes, even for the spiritually awake or those that are just waking up, they get discouraged because it is a smaller pool, and then they start to slip back or fall back, and then they settle for the mechanical person that they're not ever going to be the happiest that they could be, because they realize that they settled, and that person that they're with doesn't even understand their language. So what advice would you give?
My thing would be for that person to write out, if they just ended a bad relationship, what was bad, what was good, and what did they create in the relationship, so they don't recreate it again.
Okay.
But I believe that it should be in the writing, only due to the fact we can talk all we want.
Right.
Once we write it and we see it in writing, it's solidified.
Right.
Gels.
Okay. Well, that's one of the things that I do with for my soulmate program is I have each person write down all of the qualities that they want in the other person. I have them write out all of the qualities that they have to offer the person they're going to be in a relationship with. Then I have them to write down the absolute deal breakers. Because once you write down those deal breakers, you can never go against those deal breakers. Because a lot of times people, well, that's a deal breaker, but then they say, well, it's got this ingredient, that ingredient, and it's, this quality. So they push aside that deal breaker when they should never ever do it, because that's going to come back to interfere and destroy any type of happiness. And then I have them write down a list of all the gray areas and then examine those gray areas. Then I have them write, this is a lot of lists, write out a list of all previous relationships. What went wrong? What did the other person do? And then what was your responsibility? What was your role in what went wrong? What you couldn't handle or deal with, or what did you do that actually brought about that? And I also have them, this is a lot of lists, but this is important work. So do the work. If you want to truly be happy, do the work. So I also have them write out a list of, where was I last, what was the last list?
It was
There's
after
an
the
awful
gray
lot of
one.
Yeah, there was a lot. Everything that went wrong and what your role was in how that went wrong. I know there was another
It
list.
was at the gray area, after the gray area.
And then, I did 2 more lists after that. There's another list. I know there is. There is another list. And that's important to do. And I'm going to get back to that other list. And then you're at a place when you truly do that examination, then you work. And if you know you have flaws, and yes, the right person is going to love you, and you should want to be with a person who's going to love you for you. However, you still want to bring yourself to be the best version of you. If you know that you have jealousy issues, jealousy is an absolute interference with happiness, with a beautiful relationship. If you know you have jealousy issues, work on that. Do not bring it into the next relationship, because the next relationship, you want it to be the one. You want it to be the last relationship, usually, unless you just want to.
And that's why the self-reflection is so important, because then you have an opportunity to heal all of the things within yourself, so that, while there is a smaller dating pool.
I remember the other list.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have to
No,
say it before
say it
I
now,
forget.
say it now.
I also have them write down whatever was ever said about them from all their previous partners, whether it's true or not. Write that down and then examine it, because even if a person was dating a narcissist, and the narcissist, they try to make you think that you're crazy, that everything you did, it's your fault, and they're master manipulators. And so they say all these things, write that down and then examine it, because on one level, part of what they said has gone in, and you feel that way. And sometimes a person, because you have that vibration, will sense it even if that's not true. So that's another thing. That's another list that you write down and then you examine. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you know, that actually just added more value to my point, is that all of that is part of the programming that has been your reality. And it's your duty, if you want to have a healthy relationship, to do all of this real healing work. And while you're looking at those line items like jealousy and other stuff, and asking yourself too, where was I afraid in the relationship? You'll get a wealth of information from that, from
Yeah.
your fears. Because once that's cleaned up, fear and love are opposites, right? So once we clear up and heal the fear, then you widen your pool, even though right now it feels like a small community of the spiritually awake and the dating. You widen your pool and you enhance the ability to attract that level, because you've healed those things, the jealousy and all the other stuff that you've done. So, you know, just by working on you, I mean, it all goes back to that.
Yes.
Everything really does fall into
It's
place.
always the message is to always work on you. And by working on you, you're making the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you know, before I forget, and I almost did forget because the show is almost over, I usually give a gift to the guest, and that is my book, The Other Side Visit Now. I did sign it for you, and I'd like you to have a
Thank
copy.
you.
Oh, only if you're going to read it.
Of course I'm going to read it,
Okay, good.
but I would have bought it.
Well, it's okay. It's a gift. It's a gift. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
you
quite
coming
welcome.
and being on the show.
I thank you, and I thank you. Pleasure meeting
you.
both
Nice
of you.
meeting you.
Now, am I supposed to hand you that book?
Well, only if you're giving it to me as a
I'm
gift.
going to lend it to you, and then I'll reorder it. It's my first. It's not my first book. I have another book called Someone to Watch Over Me, but this was the first one off the machine.
Oh,
So
nice.
I will order it and I will send it to you.
Oh,
And
thank
to
you.
Also to yourself.
Thank you very
This
much.
is the book.
The Messenger.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the messenger, nunzio means the annunciation or the messenger. So I'm sorry that I can't get you to keep the book.
Well, it's the thought that counts, right?
It's a child
Yeah.
holding on to its toy. But if we have a moment, even with the people who are very aware of the spiritual growth, will
Mhm.
stay in a relationship that's abusive.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Because we're always trying to heal that person. We think that person is going to change.
And
And
that's one thing that's a huge mistake.
yeah.
And especially, you know, some healers, they're in relationships with a narcissist, and they think that they can fix and heal the narcissist. It's absolutely not going. Is it possible? Very, very tiny possibility. The best advice we can give you is run. Get out of there. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved perfectly and to share love perfectly. In order for a relationship to really be a loving relationship, for it to be true love, both parties have to truly love one another. It can't be one-sided. Then it's not real. So keep that in mind. If it's one-sided, it's not real.
And there also has to be almost an equal balance of self-love in the relationship.
Yes.
Because then there's more of an opportunity for growing together.
Many people don't want to heal themselves because they believe that they're healed.
Yeah.
Like going to a doctor and he gives you a prescription, you buy the prescription and you put the pills there. So do you really want to heal?
You're right. And that's another thing, you know, a lot of people think that they have gone through the journey of healing by putting the Band-Aid on. And that's just the surface. You really have to get in deep and really fix what you need to fix, to heal.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
So if you said, oh, I already went through that, it's okay. And you'll go through it with grace once again if you need to.
Yeah,
Because maybe you need to share your story that will help others.
absolutely.
It's very true. We're here to help, we're here to do, and that's, we don't have a choice in what we're
No.
doing. We came here to do a job. And every time I've said, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm just not doing this, and somebody's knocking at the door and needs help. So we're doing it.
Yeah. And I'd like to go on record again as saying I am single. And very shortly I will be manifesting. Oh, by the way, and I'm not going to ask you as a psychic medium, but on the last program, we did astrology for relationships, and she did my birth chart. And I think over the next few months, I think she gave me by July that I will be in that beautiful, healthy, loving relationship. So ladies, step up your game, heal yourself.
You're gonna get an awful lot of mail.
And but it's interesting because a person that I do business with, he made an absolutely bold statement, and he really believes it. And I just gave him the go-ahead. He's telling me that he's going to find the absolute right one for me, that I'm going to marry, that we're both going to want to marry each other in 90 days. And of course, that leads right into July, the 90 days. So I said, okay.
Okay, so we will both be setting up the wonderful vibes for you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You will find your twin flame.
Oh, boy. Those
that a
new
good one?
definitions. Or what? Actually, what
I
is?
don't even know what a new.
Okay.
I just used it.
Okay,
because
good.
of the I think two people should love each other, but this way, not this way.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be room in between
Yeah.
for people to love each other.
I think we're almost done. I hear the music coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Again, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much. Thank you for guest hosting.
Thank you for having
I
me.
may have you back.
Great.
It's a possibility.
This was fun.
Thank you.
She got beautiful eyes.
She does, doesn't she?
Thank you.
Do they change color?
Yes.
And she doesn't even have to send a letter in to say, I'm here, George.
Yeah, yeah. Very
You're
nice.
blushing.
Well, it happens, I guess.
I call this a shot.
Yeah.
You do?
I think we're still on the camera.
Oh,
I don't know if they can hear us. Oh, if you can hear us out there, we love you.
Take care.
And we love ourselves, and that's important. So
much.
please love you, do the work. We want you to be in that beautiful, happy, healthy, loving relationship. And the camera's still going.
And it
I
starts
never
with
know when
you.
it ends. Eventually, I'm going to get the hang of the ending of the show. Eventually.
Yeah, you have a few more seconds to go. It's a good thing that we didn't say anything. That was wrong color. But you do have beautiful eyes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And every time I see her, she looks younger.
That's great.
Well, you know that already. You did that work, right?
Yeah. Always doing the work.
It's all up here
Yeah, last night.
and here.
you were
And
glowing.
it's true. It's working on self within self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. I love every part about it.